The sky above Earth was quiet, too quiet. The stars blinked gently, undisturbed. Satellites moved in silent orbits. The moon stood still, untouched, and just beyond the reach of Earth's atmosphere. A nightmare approached. The Zaan Dominion fleet emerged from hyperspace in perfect formation. Cold, vast, and merciless. Thousands of ships, warships, troop carriers, planet burners. Everything the Zaan had was here. They hovered in low orbit, circling Earth like vultures around a dying animal. Inside, the command bridge of the Zaan dreadnought, Zircol, Supreme Overlord Krex, stood tall. His four burning eyes stared at the planet below with arrogant amusement. No shields, no weapons platforms, no planetary defenses at all, the sensor officer croaked. Krex chuckled, a low metallic rasp. After centuries of watching, the humans still offer nothing. Primitive, unworthy of conquest. Another officer sneered. But necessary, Krex said coldly. Their planet is rich in resources, their sun stable, and their gravity well. Ideal, the officers nodded. Earth would be stripped, harvested, and repopulated. There would be no resistance, no battle, no honor, perhaps, but no losses, either. Krex turned toward the viewing screen. Send a transmission, he ordered. Earth's surface, secure bunker. Iceland far, below the cold Arctic wind. In a hidden military base, buried under Iceland's glaciers. The real Earth Command was wide awake. General Mara Chen stood in front of a holographic map. The red dots of the Zaan fleet covered the upper atmosphere. Too many to count, no one spoke. Are we still invisible? She asked calmly. Yes, ma'am, replied Major Eric Vance. The Nightshade reports, all systems green. Cloak is holding. Good, she said quietly. The lights in the bunker dimmed as the Zaan transmission began. A voice boomed across every open channel. Humans of Earth, you have no army, you have no fleet, you have no future. We offer this mercy. Surrender. Now, and you will live to serve. Resist, and your planet will burn. The message played in every major city, every screen, every channel. Even those who didn't believe in aliens couldn't ignore it now. People panicked, but inside the bunker, no one moved. General Chen raised a hand. Play our response. A short transmission was sent. Only 3 words. Let them come, Zaan. Fleet Command Ship, Zircol Suprom. Overlord Krex stared at the human reply. His eyes narrowed. Is that supposed to frighten us? No, Supreme One, said the comms officer. They sent no threat, no weapon, no plan. Then prepare the ground teams, begin descent. We claim this world in the name of the Zaan, thousands of troop. Ships began to move, engines flared. Massive carriers descended through Earth's upper clouds. Then, a ripple, a shimmer in space. Krex turned, confused. Report. What was that? One of the sensor officers leaned in, studying the display. I don't know. Something's there, above us. It wasn't before. And then they saw it. At first, it looked like a trick of light, just a distortion above Earth, but it grew clearer, sharper, a shape, a shadow, a ship larger than anything Zaan scanners had ever recorded, massive, black, silent, floating directly above their fleet. A line of red lights activated along its hull. Hundreds of them, Krex took a step back. That wasn't there before. No, Supreme One, it just appeared. The ship moved, not fast but with terrible purpose. Earth bunker, Iceland General Chen stood silently. watching the hologram. The cloaking field had dropped. The nightshade was now visible to every sensor in orbit, and the room held its breath. Status of the Zaan, she asked. Major Vance replied, "They're panicking, ma'am. Scanners show scattered movement. Some troopships are pulling back, others still descending. Are their weapons targeting us?" "No, they're not even locked." General Chen nodded once. "Begin Phase 2. Arm nightshades, bow cannon. Power up dorsal batteries. Let's show them what they've missed." "Zaan, fleet panic. This is impossible," Krex roared. "That ship was never on our scans. It must have been cloaked," the weapons officer whispered. "Then we destroy it." Krex bellowed. "All vessels lock weapons on the human ship. Fire now." But they were too late. The nightshade opened fire. Twin beams of red plasma burst from its forward cannon, thick, bright, and blinding. The closest Saran cruiser was torn in half instantly. Then the dorsal batteries fired, targeting 6 ships at once. The blasts were precise, controlled, and devastating. Explosions filled the Zaan formation. Ship after ship was hit. Some tried to flee. Others tried to retaliate, but the nightshade moved faster, dodging, twisting, hunting. It wasn't just a ship, it was a predator. One Zaan commander screamed over comms, "It's not possible. They had nothing. How is this here?" But there was no answer. Just destruction. Earth Bunker General Chen didn't smile. She didn't gloat, but her eyes were sharp. "They watched us for years," she said, "but never looked deep enough." "Major." Vance nodded. "Nightshade's stealth systems were never detectable by external scans. We built it beneath the Pacific. They never saw it leave the ocean. And now," she said, "they'll never forget it." In orbit, the sky burns. The Zaan fleet tried to regroup, but the damage was done. Half their ships destroyed, the other half scattering. The nightshade hovered in silence, surrounded by wreckage, its black hull undamaged, its lights glowing, supreme. Overlord Krex watched in horror as the human ship locked onto his dreadnought. Raise shields. Raise shields now. But the final beam pierced his ship in one strike. The Zircon split in two, swallowed by fire door to Earth. Global broadcasting. New message was sent from Earth to every corner of space. Simple, clear, and this time, not from fear but power. This planet is not undefended. This species is not primitive. We saw you coming, and now you've seen us. Final scene: the nightshade turned slowly in orbit. Its engines flared. Its weapons powered down. Then it disappeared again, vanished. Gone, back into the shadows. Waiting, watching. Because Earth wasn't defenseless. It was ready in the darkness of space. Hidden in Earth's own shadow, the TSS Nightshade remained completely still. No heat signature, no lights, and most importantly, no presence detected by any known alien technology. It was Earth's first and only deep stealth battleship. Every inch of it was built with one goal in mind: vanish in plain sight. Captain Elara. Trask stood on the command bridge, her eyes locked on the tactical hologram in front of her. Red dots moved slowly, hundreds of them. The Zaan fleet. "Update," she said quietly. Lieutenant Kimura turned from her console. "Enemy fleet is still approaching in formation. Scanners show no change. They think we're not here." Lips curled into a tight smile. "Good. Let's keep it that way. For now." Zaan flagship Devourer of Sky Commander Veric stood tall at the front of the command platform. His claws tapped against the metal railing, a sign of anticipation. In his species, all scans show no orbital structures. Earth remains as weak as predicted, his tactical officer hissed. Of course it is, Varric said. They spent all their efforts on communication and culture, not war. The humans are soft. He pointed toward, the planet slowly growing larger. In the main view screen, begin final approach. I want their cities under our guns before their sunrise. Yes, Commander. Below the massive flagship, thousands of warships followed carriers, destroyers, troop barges, all aimed at Earth. None of them saw the shape hiding in their path. Iceland. Subterranean Command Bunker General Marcus Hale rubbed his temples and looked at the monitor. He hadn't slept in 36 hours. All units report in, he barked. One by one, quiet voices responded from around the world. Arctic Watch, ready. Pacific Trench Monitoring, active. Lunar Relay, standing by. Then came the final check-in. This is Nightshade Command. Cloaked stable. Weapon systems live. Standing by. A moment of silence. Then Hale leaned into his mic. Captain Trask, keep them blind. And when the moment comes, make it count. Nightshade Bridge confirmed. General, Trask replied calmly. We'll make them regret every step. She turned to her weapons. Officer, charge, main cannon silent cycle. No emissions. I want that thing hot without anyone knowing. Aye, Captain, charging now. The main cannon of the Nightshade wasn't a laser. It wasn't a missile. It was something far more terrifying. Earth's latest development. A kinetic lance. A pure rod of tungsten, accelerated at near light-dash speed. It didn't explode. It punched, and it never missed. Orbit 42 minutes to contact the Zaan fleet drifted. Ever closer, still, not a single human transmission had been intercepted. No resistance. Not even a signal, Varric grinned. How disappointing. Then, something blinked on the sensor screen. Commander, his technician leaned closer. We're getting an anomaly. Gravitational lensing in orbit. Varric's eyes narrowed. Where? Just above Earth's equator. But no object is there. It's like space is bending suddenly. Alarms shrieked across the Zaan bridge. One of their forward cruisers without warning was gone. Not damaged. Not attacked, just gone. Nightshade. Firing deck, direct hit, said the gunner. Cruiser erased. No energy signature detected. They won't even know what hit them. Trask nodded. Load another lance. Target the forward command ship. This time, let them feel it. Zaan fleet, chaos, begins on the flagship. Panic spread like fire. What happened to the Varric shouted. No distress signal. No explosion. It just disappeared. A crewman screamed. Was it sabotage? A minefield? Then it happened again. This time, one of the assault barges filled with over 1,000 soldiers. In the blink of an eye, the targeting screens showed nothing. Something's there, Varric roared. Something is hunting us. Another ship disappeared, and another, within 90 seconds. The Nightshade hovered silently above Earth, invisible to the naked eye and undetectable by Zaan scanners. Its sleek hull shimmered faintly under the stars, absorbing radiation and bending light around its armored body. It was Earth's first, and only interstellar stealth dreadnoughter, prototype born in secret, tested in silence, and now, preparing for war, deep inside the ship's command deck. Captain Leanne Drake stood with arms crossed, watching the massive holographic display. float in the air. Red markers indicated the position of the Zaan fleet. Thousands of ships. Their main battleships were now just a few thousand kilometers away from Earth's orbit. "They still don't see us," whispered Lieutenant Corwin. "They won't," Drake replied coldly. "Their scanners were built to find energy signatures. Ours don't exist." Around her, the bridge buzzed with quiet urgency. Systems were on standby. Cannons were loaded. But no one fired, not yet. In the war room back on Earth, General Rollins watched the same feed. He stood among a council of silent leaders, their faces pale in the cold blue light. "They're beginning descent," said one technician, Rollins. Nodded. "Let them. The closer they are, the better." But something had changed in the Zaan formation. On board the Zaan command ship, crimson-throated Moral Vorzek squinted at the static readings. His second-in-command, Tazar, hissed in confusion. "There's an anomaly, Admiral." "Explain," Vorzek growled. Tazar turned to the screen. "A sector of space isn't behaving correctly. No heat signatures, no drift, no background. Radiation, just silence." Vorzek narrowed his eyes. "Masking, jamming, possibly. Or something is there. Something big." The Admiral leaned back. He didn't like mysteries, especially not above a planet that was supposed to be defenseless. "Send a scout ship," he ordered. A small Zaan corvette detached from the fleet and glided toward the anomaly. For a moment, nothing happened, and then the nightshade moved. Not quickly. Not suddenly, but deliberately. Its hull shimmered again, just slightly, as if space itself had blinked. The corvette's sensors flared and died. The last signal sent from the scout was a single image, a blurry outline, the shape of something massive, sleek, and horrifyingly close. Inside the crimson throat, alarms screamed. "Contact," shouted a crew member. "We have a visual now." Waited, vanished again. "It was there," Tazar whispered. "A Terran. Warship, cloaked." Warzek stood. His voice roared through the bridge. "Battle stations." But it was too late. From the black of space, just behind the Zaan's front line, Nightshade began to uncloak. It didn't happen all at once. Panels shimmered. Lights reappeared along the edges. Giant cannons extended from hidden compartments. The sleek black dreadnought, nearly the size of their own flagships, emerged from the void silent, terrifying, real dot on Earth. General Rollins smiled. "Showtime," he said. Above Nightshade, opened fire. Its first salvo wasn't conventional. A high-powered electromagnetic pulse burst outward like a ripple across a pond. Dozens of Zaan support ships, scouts, and command relays shut down instantly. Their lights died. Their engines went cold. Then came the railguns, gigantic. Kinetic rounds, traveling at fractions of the speed of light, tore through the nearest Zaan warships like paper. One cruiser split in half before it even had time to raise shields. Another exploded in silence, fragments scattering into the darkness. Panic erupted. Vorzek screamed orders, trying to reposition the fleet. But they were exposed, vulnerable. The Nightshade wasn't a battleship. It was a predator. Back on Earth, news channels across every continent switched to emergency broadcast. For the first time, humanity revealed its secret weapon to the public. People watched, stunned, as the cloaked ship fought alone against thousands, and started to win. Across military bases, technicians prepared for Phase 2, commanders activated, dormant satellites, subsurface bunkers powered up old weapon systems. The invasion was no longer just a threat. It was happening, and Earth was ready inside the nightshade. Captain Drake's voice was calm and cold. Continue rotation fire. Target the command vessel next. Confirmed, replied Corwin. Drake looked up. Her voice dropped to a whisper. Let's show them what Earth really has. The next barrage was already firing, and the stars burned red. The Zarn fleet was a wall of metal stretching across Earth's sky. Each massive warship hummed. With deadly energy, cruisers, dreadnoughts, and carrier hives, all aligned in precise battle formation. From their command bridge, Admiral Varnes watched the silent blue planet below. Still no response, he growled. No, Admiral, Earth remains silent. Our scans confirm no fleet, no planetary defenses. Their systems are dark. Varnes smirked, tusks curling slightly. Then they have accepted their fate. Prepare landing forces. But in that moment, a tiny red light blinked on the edges of the command table. Admiral, the technician frowned. We're picking up something, just a flicker. Varnes narrowed his eyes, explained. The officer hesitated. It was brief, like a distortion in space, a ripple just for a second. Varnes turned away. A sensor glitch. Earth is defenseless. Proceed. But thousands of kilometers away, just outside the moon's shadow, the ripple returned. This time, longer. Then something shimmered. A patch of empty space twisted. It folded like a curtain pulling back. And from that curtain, a shape emerged. It was vast, smooth, black like obsidian. It didn't reflect light, it seemed to consume it. The silhouette of the massive ship revealed itself sleek, angular, and terrifyingly quiet. Its name was etched invisibly on its hull. Not in visible paint, but in stealth-encoded micro-layering. TSS Nightshade, Earth's most secret weapon. Below, deep under Iceland's ice, Commander Rayner stood at the center of a cold steel command room. A dozen officers sat at consoles, each monitoring silent data streams. No one raised their voice. Everything moved with sharp precision. Nightshade reports full emergence, one of them announced. Rayner nodded. Open secure link. A screen blinked on. A dark-skinned man appeared, sitting calmly inside a control chair, bathed in dim red light. Behind him, a crew of elite Terran operators worked in silence. Nightshade online, said Captain Elijah Cross. His voice was low, steady. Rayner stared at him. You are to remain cloaked until my command. Yes, ma'am. We just needed to test the partial phase-out. Understandable. But the Zarn don't know you're there, and they must not net it. Captain Cross leaned forward slightly. And when do we strike? Rayner looked toward a massive tactical map behind her. Red dots, thousands marked enemy ships over Earth. But there were others now. Smaller blue symbols, stealth Terran assets, almost invisible on standard sensors, she whispered when they opened their hangars. Above Earth, Admiral Varnes stepped into the War Council chamber aboard the Zarn flagship. Other generals joined via holograms. Together, they represented the power of a dozen sectors. All stood confident. Earth remains silent, Varnes announced. They are either surrendering or too primitive to respond. In either case, we begin our occupation now. The others nodded. Double quotes. No resistance is expected, said one Zarn. General, do we destroy any remaining cities? Asked another. Perhaps leave one, said Varnes. As a reminder to others. They all laughed, but even as they spoke, the Earth's low orbit twisted again. In different quadrants of space, more ripples formed, more curtains pulled back, and more ships. EMERGED, TSS, Phantom, TSS, Widow, TSS Revenant, all cloaked, all armed, all silent, down on Earth. In command. Bunkers hidden around the globe. Terran officers began sending coded pulses. Dozens of Terran defense satellites blinked awake, unseen, designed to mimic space junk. Estimated readiness. In 2 minutes, she nodded. And the orbital mines, still hidden. No Zaan ship has detected them. Good, then a beep. Ma'am, the comms officer said. Zaan landing craft are deploying. Hangars opening. Rayner's eyes went sharp. Captain Cross. His voice returned immediately. Yes, Commander. You are go for engagement. The Zaan Dominion had prepared for ground war. Their warships opened massive landing bays, revealing hundreds of troop carriers. They began launching toward Earth like metal rain. That's when it happened. ATHUNDERCLAP. Not sound, but a sudden, visible burst in space. The nightshade came alive. From its underbelly, sleek cannons emerged. They didn't glow like normal weapons. They hummed low-frequency pulses that disturbed the stars around them. And then, fire. But this wasn't like plasma or laser fire. These were mass condensed rail burst metal slugs, accelerated to near-light speed. The shots were invisible until they hit. The first wave of Zaan landing craft exploded, instantly torn apart before anyone even realized what hit them. Then the Phantom opened fire, then the Widow, the Revenant. Within seconds, hundreds of Zaan ships were turning, spinning, breaking formation. Their sensors screamed. Alarms blared. But the Terran ships remained silent. Unseen firing from shadows. Panic spread through the Zaan fleet. On the flagship, Admiral Varnes bellowed, "What is happening?" A frightened officer cried out, "We're under attack, but we can't see them. We can't lock on." "Find the source," Varnes shouted, but every sensor pulse was swallowed. Every scan returned noise. And then a voice cut through their comms, a human voice. Steady, calm. "This is Earth's final warning. Leave now, or vanish." It was Elijah Cross. The line cut before Varnes could respond. Then their rear dreadnought exploded. Down on Earth, Commander Rayner's face was lit by a soft green glow from her sea. Space above Earth was still to the Zaan. It seemed like the planet had accepted its fate. No Terran messages, no resistance, no sign of a defense fleet. Their armada of 3,000 ships, dark, angular beasts of war, remained parked in orbit, waiting for orders. Commander Ralvok stood at the edge of his command platform aboard the dreadnought Vorthkai. His clawed hands curled with amusement. "Scan again," he ordered. "Let's confirm one last time that the humans truly have nothing." His second officer bowed. Still no sign of any orbital installations. No spaceports active. Ground forces appear minimal. There is ... nothing. Rolvac turned slowly. "Then let us begin." His words were met with thunderous echoes as the fleet charged weapons and prepared their atmospheric assault. But far beneath the icy crust of Iceland, General Elaine Carter stood silently in the control chamber of Echo Black. The bunker buzzed, with low murmurs, glowing panels, and a steady rhythmic hum. A whisper came over the intercom. "Zaan fleet is aligning for bombardment. We count charging signatures across their lead squadrons." She didn't blink. Cloak status on Nightshade. Stable. No detection. Any sign they've spotted the anomaly? No, General. She turned her head slightly. Then it's time. She reached forward and pressed a single red pad, high above Earth, just behind the dark side of the moon. A ripple, a shimmer, and suddenly something massive broke from the void. The Zaan scanners, so confident, so perfect, flared with emergency. Beacons dot from behind a web of cloaking fields. The Terran warship, TSV Nightshade, revealed itself. It wasn't sleek. It wasn't beautiful. It was Brutala, wedge of black titanium. 10 times larger than any ship the Zaan had ever seen. Its shape broke. Physics, its weapons bays opened silently. The sky began to change. On the bridge of the Vorith Kai, chaos erupted. Sir, unknown mass. Just you cloaked behind the moon. What? How did the officer's voice faltered? The screens filled with error codes. One by one, ships in the second row of the Zaan formation began disappearing, guessed by pinpoint railgun strikes, moving faster than light. Ralvac screamed, evasive. Break formation, fire on thee. But his words were cut short. The Nightshade didn't fire a warning shot. It opened with a graviton lance, tearing a Zaan battlecruiser in half. Then, a dozen more ripples shimmered into view. More cloaked Terran vessels, silent, deadly, hungry. Down on Earth, in the war room, General Carter watched as one red dot, after another, blinked off the main screen. Phase 2, she said. Deploy the drone curtain. A secondary system lit up. From low orbit, a cloud of nano-drones, no larger than a pebble, spread out like mist, forming an invisible minefield. The Zaan fleet was trapped. Nowhere to run, no way to fight an enemy. They couldn't even see. Commander Ralvok stared in horror. He had underestimated them. He had mocked them. This isn't possible, he whispered, eyes wide as another wing of his cruisers blinked into fiery vapor. But the horror wasn't over, because then Earth responded, not with words, not with warnings, but with a transmission from Nightshade. One simple message, spoken in calm, accented English. We saw you coming. We were waiting. Then came the second line, one that chilled every Zaan soul. To their core, this is not Earth's only warship. The Zaan Dominion had never seen anything like it. Moments after, the Terran stealth ship Nightshade revealed itself. 3 more signatures had appeared quietly, without fanfare. Each one pulsed into visibility for a brief second, then vanished again. The Zaan sensors scrambled to understand what was happening. Admiral Sorvix, watching from the bridge of the warship Dreadpire, growled in frustration. Why are our scanners failing? He demanded. No explanation, Admiral, his science officer replied. They appear and vanish, but the energy trails they leave behind, they're massive. Then find them, Sorvix barked, and destroy them. Across Earth's orbit, the shadows stirred again. The Nightshade was no longer alone. Wraith class, Raven class, Spectre class, all once thought to be prototypes, rumors or black-budget myths even, by Terran citizens. Now they emerged, one by one. They didn't fire. Not yet. They just moved like ghosts, hovering just outside the Zaaran fleet's engagement range. Inside Earth's subterranean control room, Commander Lyra paced calmly. They're watching us now, she said. Let them see. Let them wonder. An analyst looked up. Ma'am, Zaan Command is sending messages, demands, warnings. Let them talk, Lyra said with a small smirk. We're not here to negotiate. We're here to haunt. In orbit, the Zaan panic spread. Thousands of ships, battle-ready shields raised. weapons hot. But against what? Invisible ships that came and went at will. Even worse, some of their own ships were now silent, no longer responding to hails. No explosions, no damage, just silence. "I want full fleet scans again," Sorvix shouted. "No anomalies, no excuses." Then the unthinkable happened. One of their dreadnoughts, the crushing blade, vanished. No warning, no flare, no explosion, just gone. A black hole didn't do this. Neither did any known weapon. Sensors registered nothing. Then a whisper came through the Zarncom system. One sentence, Terran voice, calm, cold, and deliberate. "Now you see what we see." Admiral Sorvix froze. "Replay that," he said. Did it came again? From nowhere. A chill spread through the bridge crew. For a species like the Zarnhu, ruled through fear and numbers, this was a nightmare. They couldn't fight what they couldn't see. And now their enemy had infiltrated their systems, spoken on their secured comms. Earth, once considered defenseless, was now the hunter. Back on the Nightshade, Captain Alara received new orders. All ships move into phase shift formation, the command said. Begin silence around. It was time to encircle the Zarn fleet, without them ever realizing it. Her ship Shimmerdan vanished again, hundreds of kilometers away. Another stealth vessel shadowed a Zarn, destroyer matching speed and angle. Below, on Earth, civilians still went about their daily lives, unaware of the invisible war taking place just above them. Inside the Human War Council chamber, General Voss tapped the glowing map before him. 3 Zarn dreadnoughts down, he said, voice steady. No visual confirmation, but we know it's us. One admiral raised an eyebrow. Should we begin overt strikes? Voss shook his head. Not yet. We're building fear, uncertainty. The moment they fire randomly, they reveal how little they understand. The war had become psychological, and the humans were masters of it. Each time a Terran vessel decloaked for 1 second, it was deliberate. It caused chaos, panic, false alarms. Fleet divisions tripped over one another, trying to lock targets that no longer existed. And sometimes, the cloaked vessels didn't attack at all. They simply sat near critical systems recording, broadcasting, watching. But when they did strike, it was surgical. A plasma cannon would fire just once, blowing a single engine from a cruiser, then vanish again. Some Zarn ships began firing blindly into empty space, wasting ammo, overheating reactors. Inside the Zarn command ship, Admiral Sorvix finally admitted it. We are being hunted, and still Earth sent no message, no formal declaration of war, no demands, just silence and shadows, until a final coded signal blinked inside the Zarn flagship's navigation system. One word in Terran script. Surrounded. The Zarn flagship Urzel floated in a perfect orbit, high above the broken clouds of Earth. Its commander, High Strategist Victor, stood with 4 arms clasped behind his back, watching the sensor feeds flicker in confusion. Below, Earth was still dark, still silent, but something was wrong. All our sensors are blind in orbit zone 22 again, one of the bridge technicians reported nervously. It's the same as before. Static, total black. Victor's throat clicked. That's where we lost 2 destroyers yesterday. Still no wreckage, no transmissions. They simply vanished. He turned toward the sensor pit, eyes glowing. Send 2 more patrol ships, armed, shields raised. I want visuals. The order was relayed instantly, and 2 new destroyers and Morn Velpelled away from the main fleet and dove toward Earth's upper atmosphere. Below, inside the human command bunker under Iceland, Commander Rourke watched silently from his seat. Targets are en route to the interference zone, Lieutenant Ramirez said, eyes never leaving the holomap. Engagement window in 10 seconds. Orders. Rourke looked at the glowing green mark labeled Nightshade. It hadn't moved, still invisible to the enemy. Let the Nightshade handle it, he said quietly. High above, the void shimmered. Then it tore. From nothingness, an angular silhouette appeared, vast and cruelly shaped. It glided forward with no engine flares, no sound, no warning. The Nightshade, Earth's first and only deep space stealth dreadnought, revealed itself for just one breath of a moment. A second later, both Zaran destroyers disappeared from every sensor in the fleet. No explosion, no distress signal, just silence, and then empty space. Report, Victor roared, slamming a fist on the rail. They vanished, came. The terrified reply, no impact detected. No escape pods. They were erased. The Zaan command crew fell silent. Victor stepped closer to the sensor array. Are we under attack? No. No known weapons discharge. No kinetic impact. No radiation spike. He narrowed his eyes. Then someone just ripped him out of existence, he whispered. Across the bridge, the comms officer spoke up. Sir, we have a message. It's human. Put it through. A voice echoed through the chamber. Male, calm, and cold. This is Commander Rourke of the Terran Defense Initiative. You have entered sovereign space. Your fleet is now under observation. Any hostile action will be answered. You have one chance to withdraw. Silence. Then the voice added, almost like an afterthought, that was your warning. And the signal cut. Rourke sat back slowly in his chair, expression unreadable. His team stared at him. You think they'll listen? Ramirez asked. No. What's the next move? Rourke turned to the operations table and activated several red tags on the map, each marked with names like Oblivion, Lance, Skyblade, and Echo Prime. Nightshade was just the opener, he said. Now we show them what Earth really built. Back aboard the Urzel, panic had begun to ripple beneath the surface. Ships were now forming tighter formations. Drones were swarming. Shields were raised. But it didn't matter. No one could see the threat. No one could target it. Victor clenched all 4 hands. How did they build this? Earth had no known. Warships, no orbital defense platforms, no fleet, one of his officers finished bitterly. They do now, Victor snarled, and it's invisible. Suddenly, across the fleet, hundreds of human ships uncloaked at once. Not near the Zaan ships, but above them, and behind. Dozens of stealth corvettes, heavy cruisers, and platforms previously buried under the oceans of Earth, now launched. And airborne. Some had been in orbit the whole time. Some had just activated from polar satellites. All of them now had one target. The invaders. Enemy ships decloaking. Full spread across orbital grid. They were already here. Victor gasped. Commander Rourke gave the final order. Phase line Alpha. Fire. Space lit up. Beams of pinpoint plasma. Streaks of kinetic rods, moving at near relativistic speed. And a horrifying new weapon known only as the Whisper Lancer silent. Invisible beam that disrupted matter at the quantum level hit the Zaan fleet. The first. Casualties were the sensor frigates and long-range shield nodes. Then the command relays. Then the troop ships. Within 90 seconds, 12% of the Zaan fleet had been destroyed without a single Terran casualty. In the chaos, Nightshade moved against Lipping through the fleet like a ghost. It did not fire conventional weapons. Instead, it opened hatches along its side. Dozens of small pods launched, each one a black capsule designed to pierce holes silently and release cyber-attack drones inside enemy ships. Within moments, internal lights across the Zaan battleships began flickering. Systems failed, engines misfired, bridge doors sealed shut. Some ships even turned on each other. On the Urzul Victor stood frozen, eyes wide. I want shields doubled. I want every ship to fire blindly into the void now. But it was too late. Across the bridge, the lights dimmed. A hologram flickered to life in the center of the room. Commander Rourke's face. I warned you. The hologram vanished, and the Urzul's engines exploded from within. The Zaan fleet began retreating, but they were being hunted. Terran cloaked vessels pursued them even as they warped out, disabling engines and destroying command vessels with surgical strikes. By the time the last Zaan cruiser limped away from Earth's orbit, over 60% of their invasion force had been annihilated. Earth, once thought defenseless, now stood in the silent vacuum of victory. No cheers, no gloating, only silence, and cloaked ships, waiting in the dark once more. The Zaan command ship, Vosakar, had always been the crown jewel of the Dominions. War fleet. Twice the size of any other vessel in orbit, it bristled with weaponry and sensor arrays. From its bridge, Supreme Admiral Kale Rose watched the battle unfold. Or rather, collapse. His fleet was dying. Around him, holoscreens flickered with red alerts. Ships blinked out one by one, some swallowed by blasts, others by ... nothing. Where is it? Kale snarled. Where is the cloaked vessel? But none of his officers had answers. Moments ago, they had been hunting. They believed themselves the predators. Now, they were prey. In Earth's upper orbit, Nightshade didn't decloak it, didn't need to. It had already moved into position for the kill. Inside its command center, Captain Myra Stone stood silently as her crew executed strike protocols. Targeting solution locked. Zaan command vessel in range, her weapons officer said calmly. Mira nodded. Load, Black Lance. Even in the silence of space, the torpedo's launch felt thunderous. From 1,000 kilometers out, a single, spear-like projectile raced forward, invisible to radar, undetectable to the Dominion's sensors, coated in adaptive stealth tech and carrying a hyperkinetic warhead. It pierced Vosakar's shields like a needle through silk. For a full second, the Zaan flagship remained whole. Then it tore apart from the inside. From the surface of Earth, people watched their skies ripple. Only a few military satellites captured the moment when the command ship exploded without warning. There was no heat signature, no launch signal, just fire and silence. Admiral Kale Rose had no last words. His bridge, his crew, and his legacy vanished in blue flame. In the hidden bunker beneath Iceland, General Ramirez slowly exhaled. Command ship's gone, said an analyst. Telemetry confirms. The fleet is scattering. He didn't cheer. He didn't smile. He just looked at the screen showing Earth from orbit. This was just one fleet, Ramirez murmured. There'll be more. In deep space, far from Earth, Zaan High Command received the emergency broadcast fragmented and broken images of Terran retaliation, of Zarn cruisers being torn apart by unseen forces, of a warship that did not appear on any scanner, destroying ships like ghosts hunting in the dark. Panic spread through the ranks, and someone asked a quiet question no one wanted to answer. What if Earth was never defenseless? Back aboard Nightshade, Mira received the next orders. New fleet inbound, different vector, smaller, faster ships, possible reinforcements. Her brow furrowed. Estimate time to arrival, 48 hours. She looked toward the main screen, where Earth still hung, beautiful and blue. Tell command we're going hunting. But what no one knew, what not even Earth's command structure fully understood, was that Nightshade was not Earth's only shadow. Beneath the surface of the moon, deep within artificial caverns, buried during the Cold War, more vessels stirred. Silent shapes, hidden technologies. The second wave of Earth's response was preparing, and those ships were not just cloaked, they were something worse. Something the Zarn Dominion had never faced. Terran warships built for one purpose, only vengeance. The stars above Earth were no longer peaceful. Wreckage floated like shattered bones in space. Burned-out Zarn warships drifted silently, some cracked open like eggs. Fire flickered from broken hulls, leaking gas and glowing sparks into the void. But still, they came. The Zarn were not finished. From the edges of the solar system, the final wave of the Dominion approached. Bigger than the first fleet, brutal in design, a full extermination force, built not for conquest, but total erasure. Earth had survived the first wave, yes, but now it faced the true blade of the Dominion, inside the hidden Terran war room beneath. Iceland, General Reeves stood over the table's flickering holodisplay. His eyes were bloodshot, uniform stained. He hadn't slept in days. How long? He asked. The AI's voice replied calmly, Zarn, extermination fleet entering engagement range in 6 hours, 17 minutes. He exhaled. How many ships left on our side? 3 Night-class vessels, cloaked and functional. 4 orbital weapons platforms, and the Vindicator. Everyone in the room fell quiet. The Vindicator, the prototype, still not fully tested, still unstable, still humanity's last shot, far above Earth in deep orbit. The stars shimmered. A ripple passed through the blackness like heat on metal. And then a shape emerged. Long, angular, blacker than space itself. The Vindicator, unlike the other cloaked ships, this one didn't just hide its distorted reality. A mix of gravitic shadow tech and fusion phase armor made it nearly impossible to track. But now it showed itself, boldly as a message. On board the Zarn flagship Overlord, Vexery hissed with laughter. They still believe they have hope, he said, watching the Terran warship decloak. The bridge of the Zarn command vessel was a web of screens, slaves, and data readouts, all focused on the single Terran ship that had dared reveal itself. Just one. His second-in-command growled. One Terran vessel, Vexery, leaned closer to the display. Scan it, tear it apart. I want to see what toy they've brought this time. But the scans failed. No data, just noise, static readings, looped back, sensors distorted. Try again, Vexery snarled. Still nothing. He didn't like that. Aboard the Vindicator, Commander Alina Stroud stood at the center of the bridge, her voice calm, her eyes locked on the enemy fleet. All systems charged. Yes, ma'am, came the reply. Wave disruption cannons primed. Singularity mine loaded. Cloak will be offline for the next 4 hours after activation. Won't need it, she said quietly. The crew was silent. Every officer had volunteered for this mission. Every one of them knew what might happen. Alina raised her hand. Target, Zaan command vessel. Below, on Earth, General Reeves watched from the war room. He turned to his communications officer. Patch me through. Seconds later, his voice echoed aboard. The Vindicator, Alina, you don't have to do this. She smiled softly. Yes, sir, I do. A pause. Make them remember who we are. The connection cut. The stars screamed. The Vindicator launched forward to the Zaan. It was like watching a shadow pierce the void. The human vessel moved with terrifying silence. No warning, no sound. And then the front of the ship opened, a pulse of white light erupted, then disappeared. The Zaan command vessel shuddered. No explosion, no damage at. First then came the collapse, not from outside, but from within. One by one, systems failed, shields vanished. Hull plating began warping. Crew screamed as the artificial gravity twisted. Then the core imploded. Vexri's eyes widened in horror just before the bridge disintegrated into a singularity. Zaan, panic, what was that? Unknown weapon, were being picked apart. Another ship was gone, and another. The Vindicator didn't fire traditional weapons. It unleashed spatial distortion pulses, hacked targeting systems mid-battle, and dropped black hole mines among clustered formations. No other human ship moved, just the Vindicator, one ship wiping out a fleet. The Zaan retreated. They had never retreated before. Later, silence, no Zaan ships remained. Earth's skies were clear, but the Vindicator was gone. Its signal vanished minutes after the final attack. Some believed it cloaked again. Others feared it had been lost in the battle, sacrificed. General Reeves stood atop the ruined cliffs of Iceland, wind howling around him, looking up at the night sky. He placed a hand on his earpiece. Any word? Nothing, sir. No ping, no trace. He nodded slowly, then turned to the press assembled behind the cordon. He faced every nation's camera, every eye on Earth. He spoke clearly. Let this be a warning to anyone who ever thinks humanity will lie down and die. We don't start wars, but we end them. Months later, a child looked up at the stars. Grandpa, will the aliens come back? The old man smiled. If they do, they'll remember what happened last time. And far above, drifting in the void, something moved, a shimmer, a whisper in the dark. The Vindicator still watched. It wasn't over, it was just hidden, waiting, the stars above. Earth had turned into a battlefield, but only one side knew it. The Zaan dominions, Pride 7 dreadnoughts, 9 carriers, and 1,000 cruisers were now slowly shifting formation. Their Admiral Crax Talvaron stood on the command deck of the Obsidian Rain, glaring at the massive planet on their screens. Still no retaliation, still no sign of a fleet. His sensor's crew grew restless. No movement, no energy spikes. No known weapons platforms detected. Even their deep scans of the Earth's crust had come up empty. Crex couldn't hide his frustration. They knew we were coming. We gave them days. Where is their resistance? Then a technician spoke up. Sir, there's an anomaly in orbit. Gravitational distortion. It's large. Crex's eyes narrowed. Show me. The screen flickered. At first it was black. Then, like fog pulled from a glass surface, something began to shimmer, into form. a long, matte black shape. No lights, no reflections, no heat signature. And yet, it was there. Earth's fleet had been here all along. Cloaked, silent, waiting, sir. Another voice shouted, "There's not one. There are dozens. Hundreds." We're surrounded. Alarms screamed across the Obsidian Rain's bridge. Terran ships, sleek, predatory, and almost silent, flickered into existence around the Zaan formation. Some hung still, like statues. Others began to move, forming kill lines with mechanical precision. One Terran vessel was larger than the rest. It hovered directly above the Zaan command carrier. Its name flickered across the Dominion's sensors in eerie, translated Terran script. TSV, Nightshade. Inside its command center, Admiral Rayna Morgan stood motionless. Around her, her bridge. Crew worked in silence, trained for this exact moment. She gave a single nod. Target the lead dreadnought. Fire when ready. No warning, no threat, just a single blinding flash. The Obsidian Rain never had time to raise its shields. It simply ceased to exist ripped apart by an energy beam so powerful that its debris glowed blue with residual plasma. The Zaan fleet panicked. Some ships scattered. Others opened fire blindly into the black. But their weapons met only ghosts. Terran ships danced through their formation, cloaked 1 second, firing the next. Invisible missiles struck engines. Lasers carved through hulls. He nodded and transmitted a short signal to the remaining Dominion fleet. Earth's skies are not empty. We were just waiting. On dozens of Zaan bridges, that message echoed through the halls. It wasn't just a threat. It was a statement of dominance. Back on Earth. Inside the bunker beneath Iceland, Commander Harron leaned over a communications terminal, patched me to Nightshade. The link opened. "Admiral Morgan, you have full operational authority. Phase 2 is a go." She smiled slightly. "Understood." Beginning orbital sweep. Above, the Terran fleet emerged fully now. No longer cloaked. No longer silent to the Zaan. It was as if the stars themselves had been lying. Earth had a fleet, and it was beautiful, sleek, sharp, designed not for show, but for overwhelming precision and dominance. One Zaan officer screamed over a failing channel. There were never any Terran ships logged. How did they hide them? But no one had an answer. Terran engineering had outpaced their imagination. The cloaks weren't simple invisibility. They bent radiation, gravity waves, and even light curve patterns. And worst of all, the Terrans had waited. They had watched, and now they had struck. From above, it looked like Earth had summoned a storm. From nothing, laser fire streaked like lightning. Engines roared like thunder, and Dominion ships fell like rain. Inside the Nightshade, Admiral Morgan gave one final order for the day. No survivors. And as her voice echoed through the Terran fleet, the sky above Earth became a graveyard.